Good afternoon and welcome to the third session of the Barcelona Global International Council Duets. This is an initiative promoted by Barcelona Global, where two Barcelonians, one living in Barcelona and the other one living in another global city, and for this reason a member of our network of Barcelonians living abroad, the International Council, have a dialogue among one topic. Today it will be regarding science and technology. Here in Barcelona, in our offices, we have Lluís Torner. Lluís is the director of the Institute of Photonic Sciences, ICFO, and Lluís is also the vice president of the executive committee of Barcelona Global. And in Bethlehem, next to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, Nacho Abia. Nacho is the chief operating officer at Olympus Corporation. Let me add that Nacho has been a member of the International Council since the beginning. That means like 10 years ago, she's been a member, so thank you, Nacho, for your commitment. We also have Carolina Aguilar. She's the CEO and co-founder of INBRAIN Neuroelectronics. Carolina is living between Switzerland and Barcelona. She needed to be today at the room, but she couldn't make it. She's a little sick this morning, so thanks for making it. And she will be moderating the session. This session will last about 1 hour. For the first 45 minutes, we'll have the dialogue, and we will be ending with the questions. As you can see here in the Barcelona Global offices, we also have a few experts of the sector that will be putting also questions to our speakers today. That's all for me. Thanks for joining, and remember to put your questions on the online streaming. Thanks, Lluís. Thanks, Nacho, and thank you, Carolina.
Thank you all. Barcelona Global could not be better represented today. I'm very happy to have this conversation with you both, and I hope that you enjoy it. I will start first with Lluís. Lluís, you are leading the ICFO, as Anna mentioned, which is one of the 7 centers of the BIS, the Barcelona Institute of Science and Technology, and is the biggest research center in Catalonia and also very, very prominent in Europe. To position Barcelona like a world reference in the ecosystem, you base yourself in autonomy, excellence, and infrastructure, and of course you need the best talent you can have. But is there something that you have in your mind that will help to position Barcelona even higher?
Yeah, thank you for this question. It's wonderful. I have to start thanking you guys, Nacho and Carolina. It's wonderful, really, being in this panel with you. Really, I love it. It's an honor to be with you. We met Nacho with you a few years ago, but that was at least 8 years ago, right? And with Carolina, we never met. But both Nacho and Carolina are my heroes. Nacho because he's a big person in a company. He's been abroad. He does fantastic work. And Carolina is a fantastic example for what we aim to do here in Barcelona, right? So he's a female, and he's a leading person in one startup company, and this is what we want to do in here: big companies led by bright people, especially females. And so yes, I'm the head of ICFO. ICFO is I think a nice institute. But look, what we have here in Catalonia, in Barcelona, is what Professor Mascolell calls a scientific ecosystem, right? So, we have lots of things. Universities, we have research centers, we have ICREA, we have startup companies, we have industries, we have SMEs. And so, this is like a true ecosystem, right, Emilia? And so, in a real ecosystem, you need lots of everything. You need big animals, you need small animals, you need food, you need water, you need resources, you need lots of things that make the ecosystem strong. And actually, I would say that the more diverse the ecosystem, the stronger, right? Because you have lots of agents there. So if you have big animals, small guys that fly, others that walk, others, just swim. We need lots of things. And so this is what we have here in Catalonia. ICFO is just one example of this ecosystem. And so to answer your question, Carolina, it's a bit weird because you are here, but I have to speak there. So that makes me a bit nervous. Here, okay. Interesting.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So what do we need to make Barcelona stronger and more visible in science? We need like in any other ecosystem. We need food and water. We need nice weather, and then we need time, right? This is what you need to make an ecosystem strong. And so for us, food and water is funding. Nice weather is laws that help us. That we have, right? So we have a system that basically, within limits that we have. And time, because if you want to make an ecosystem large and strong, you need time for it to grow. We started building this ecosystem, let's say 20 years ago. Now we basically have it, but it's fragile and small, and we still need to boost and put more resources to it. But with time, we'll make it. This is my opinion.
So basically, you recognize it's a very diverse ecosystem that has the ingredients to succeed, and probably we need to keep on feeding it and communicating about the wonders that are coming from it. And I totally agree with you, and that's also why INBRAIN decided to reside in beautiful Barcelona. Let me go to Nacho. Nacho, you are one of the top leaders in Olympus, which is a Japanese multinational that has presence in more than 40 countries, and which main core is medical technology. And it's been many years that you already are away from Barcelona for work, but I know that Barcelona is always in your heart. And recently, Newsweek actually published a ranking of the best hospitals in Europe, where actually Clinic and Vallebrón were within the top 100. And because you are in daily contact with this ecosystem and the medical technology and the reality of hospitals, how do you think is Barcelona perceived with regards to the focus and the prominence of these hospitals in the ecosystem?
Well, thank you, Carola. And first of all, thank you for the invitation to be here with you and with you. It's really a pleasure to spend some time with you and with this organization that is doing a lot for the city. I still call home, even I left Barcelona more than 40 years ago now. Well, first of all, I think that, I probably have lost a little bit of perspective of what happened specifically in Barcelona at the benefit of gaining a little bit of more broad perspective of what's going on in the world. But I still am connected with Barcelona, and I still we do work through our company in Barcelona with Vallebrón and Clinic. I personally had the opportunity in my times. I started my career in Olympus as the CEO of Olympus in Spain, and at that time I worked a lot with Hospital Clinic and Vallebrón and others. But fundamentally, these two are ranked at the top 100 hospitals by Newsweek. I think that they can be ranked at the top 10 in certain areas. The thing about perception is that I do believe that there is always an opportunity to do more in terms of awareness about what we do. I do think that, and I know because there are many studies, many works that we do with both the Clinic and Vallebrón about advanced medical technology, development of new procedures, working on new technologies with the physicians. It's amazing the job that they do. It's really great. Comparable to the job that we can do with many institutions in the United States where I had lived for a number of years, or in Japan, we were very close. Many there. There is similar level of talent, and if not better, and a very, very strong work ethics in Barcelona, and a lot of contribution. I think the only problem is that this is not well known. And unless you know Barcelona in that terms, everybody knows Barcelona, right? So every time someone asks me about where I'm from, my answer is always, I don't mention a country, I just mention Barcelona because it's more international than anything else. And everybody knows Barcelona, but not everybody knows what Barcelona can offer from a science and business point of view. So I do think that the perception for those that had the opportunity to work with those institutions and others is great because they realize about the value that they can add. The problem is that the perception is not very broad. There is not a strong awareness about what Barcelona can offer. And I think that's what of the great benefits that associations like Barcelona Global can offer, that to make sure that we broadcast, we showcase what the talent and the abilities that we have in Barcelona in order to make them more global. So by doing that, companies like Olympus and many others will definitely do or have more activity in Barcelona, because in many cases, they simply don't know what they can do there.
I totally agree with you. Having been 13 years at the European headquarters of Medtronic, I think we see it similarly. And I don't know about Olympus, I think it would be similar to Medtronic, but we had to also bring up the published research, right, from this institution, so it's more visible at the European level, and then work on deciphering the future together. How do we see the vision, and what alliances and partnerships could be done, right, based on what we see together and how to pave it. And talking about alliances and private-public partnerships, I guess Olympus, of course, like every medical technology company, is quite used to do them. Do you have any example that you could highlight, maybe from the Spanish organization or maybe from the European organization, of such alliances that you were able to do, and any impact that you might have observed out of those, so we can elevate this visibility even here?
Yeah, well, we have many. I think that as for many medical technology companies, Medtronic is obviously one of those, and Olympus is doing a lot. I mean, the way we develop our technology is obviously based on the needs of our customers, which are the doctors, the physicians, the surgeons that do the work, thanks to our technology. And in order to do that, I think we have two kind of collaborations. One is more for procedure development and technique development, that we work mostly with hospitals and with physicians, and in order to make that happen and to understand what are their needs, and they help us to develop the product and technology they need. And then we work with institutions like ICFO more on the technology research part. I mean, trying to identify core technologies that would be necessary later on in order to apply to the products. So we have a lot of those kind of collaborations. Some is more formal, some is less formal. We have a lot of this work done in Barcelona. I think that I work very close, and still we work very close with Hospital Clinic, for example, in a number of areas of collaboration, and they are providing a lot of value. And we do in many other areas in the world. I think the biggest difference, and my recommendation always to when I speak with institutions in Spain or in Barcelona, is that in other places, not everywhere, but in other places, and specifically in the United States, the understanding of this relation is much easier for companies like us, because they understand this as more as a business, which is the language that corporations we understand. So when we approach the Mayo Clinic and we want to develop certain technology or certain procedure with them, they have a team which is ready to accommodate our needs. They understand that this needs to be presented in a way which is a win-win opportunity for both of us. There are business people in those organizations that understand how to deal with corporations. And at the end, this facilitates that the necessary resources are available. Because in many occasions, the problem is that you identify a great physician or a great surgeon that you can develop, so you want to develop certain work with them. But they don't have time, they don't have the resources, and it's very difficult for them. They have to carve out time after their busy schedules. So I think one of the things that I believe that Barcelona can improve in both in the care setting, but also in the research institution, is really to work a little bit to prepare those, to prepare the situation where when a corporation is having a need and wants to establish a collaboration, to establish a framework which is business friendly and not just based on the willingness of one person or one group to do something, but this, and it has to be a win-win opportunity for both, right? So this is clearly the way it's presented. In other places, they make things easy for corporate companies, and because of that, the tendency is to work more with them than with others. That there can be a lot of willingness, but it's sometimes difficult to find the right setup in order to make it happen.
Yeah, totally. I could not agree more with you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm going to ask the same question, but from the research institution's perspective to Lluís. So in Catalonia and in Spain, we've been dedicating a lot of focus to the basic science, right? I think we are quite well known for all the great basic science, but we do have a challenge when it comes to technology transference. And also I see it now from the INBRAIN perspective, to prepare Catalonia and Spain for industrialization, right? So how do you see this, Lluís, from your perspective of a research center, also with alliances, hopefully with corporations or companies in general? How do you see it?
Well, Carolina, thank you. I think that this is happening already. Yeah? So again, to build alliances and networks and to create companies and to have critical mass, you have to have an ecosystem, as I said. And now we have it. So 20 years ago, we didn't. We had universities, which were quite good at that point in time, but perhaps we didn't have other ingredients that were needed. And now we have them. So we have very good universities, we have research centers, we have people who want to create companies, we have investors. The culture is there, so it takes time to build these things, and so really I'm optimistic about this. So we are all building alliances. So at the academic level, we have the BEAST. The universities also build their alliances. We team up with companies. Often we team up with companies like Olympus or global companies, because these companies perhaps work more at the limit of science, which is what we do. And so for us, then it's perhaps easier to do it. But it's happening more often that even SMEs and small companies work with us, as you know, Carolina. And as we said, and you are a super fantastic example. And here in the audience, we have, Emilia, who knows this best. We are, all of us, universities and centers, we are creating lots of startups, and many of these companies will be strong. Perhaps, Matteo, we keep discussing about unicorns. Perhaps we will have one unicorn soon based on science in Barcelona. Because remember, we have to remember that innovation often doesn't come from science. It comes from elsewhere. It comes from bright ideas. People who use things that are already known, put them together and make a product or a service, right? Once in a while, you need deep science to do it, right? And so INBRAIN is a very good example. We also have startups that are based on quantum physics, not less. I mean, that's really, really core science. And this is happening. So let me repeat what I said at the beginning. We need a bit more time. So these things take time. 20 years ago, we didn't have the ecosystem. Now we have it. And so if we are a bit more patient, we will have these alliances and we will make impact.
Yes, very important. And I also see more and more technology transfers and great examples of what you just mentioned. I will go back to Nacho. So Barcelona has been in the 80s one of the biggest gates for many international companies to actually settle. Olympus is one example. And if we go even outside of healthcare, you have the Googles of the world and Amazon. So it has attracted a tremendous power from the industry. The localization, the logistic capacity that the city brings. There's been a lot of components to actually attract investment, I would say. Well, there's also the part of the research centers that we are just discussing, the transfer that has positioned Barcelona as one of the leaders in deep tech, I would say. There's a lot of quantum computing and a lot of great deep tech ventures that are now really emerging very, very strongly. So looking at all these and also bringing back what Lluís told about the diversity that we have, how do you see investment? Do we have enough investment, and do you see that we could even do better? And if there's more investment, which sectors and which ecosystems do you see the investment being allocated?
I think it's a very, very good question, and I would say that I spent the last more than 10 years in the United States, and I think this changed significantly my perspective about capital and about entrepreneurship and how these things happen in a country like here versus not only Barcelona, but for most of it, large part of Europe, I would say as well. I think that first of all on the ecosystem that Lluís was mentioning, I cannot agree more. I mean, when you think in cities that has been hub of technology, any kind of technology, I think that you really need to have an ecosystem. The ecosystem is what will attract people, is what will retain people, and is will attract money. And money at the end is fundamental for all of this, right? So I think, again, my perspective and my perception of Barcelona from the distance, and I apologize for that, but I think that I might not be very close, but still the perception may be different than the reality, but the perception is that you mentioned Barcelona in the 80s, 90s Barcelona has a natural asset, which is impossible to build if you don't have it, which is everybody loves Barcelona. Everybody wants to be in Barcelona. Everybody would like to live in Barcelona. That's an amazing asset that few places can say, right? So now we need to leverage that for business. What I see in Barcelona is that I fully agree as well with you. We have an excellent scientific ecosystem. We have phenomenal research centers and universities that are creating the science. We do have, especially in the last 10 years, a lot of entrepreneurship in Barcelona. And I think we have those companies that have started, many of them spin-offs from these research institutions, and they have started to create. What we don't have is that the capacity to retain those startups when they start to grow. Because in many cases, they are being acquired by another company, multinational company, and they take that technology and they move away from Barcelona. In some cases not, but in many cases that's what ended up happening. And I think this is the part of the ecosystem that I believe is missing in Barcelona, and we have to help build. So we need to make sure that this precious cycle of having the research, having the entrepreneurship, that we can attract enough capital in order to nurture those companies in Barcelona, not away from Barcelona. And when those companies starts to grow, that the company will stay in Barcelona and continue developing. And even if it's acquired, that we have to make sure that asset stays in Barcelona. That's the part that we are missing. So we don't have many. We have just few. We don't have many companies which are actually developing high-level technology in Barcelona, and we have the ingredients to make that happen. But I think that we need. This goes back to the discussion about the infrastructure, the regulatory environment, and how easy it is to do business in Barcelona. But those are fundamental things to attract large corporations or to keep existing companies which are growing in Barcelona. So the opportunity is massive. I think the opportunity is there because we have all the right ingredients. We need to have the last push in order to make that happen. The last thing I would say is again and something that you mentioned, Carol, I think is fundamentally important: technology transfer, right? So technology by technology is not useful unless we can find an application for that. And I think that spin-offs from centers like ICFO, we worked in the past with the Centro de Visión por Computador de Barcelona, and places like these that they have a great opportunity. They have wonderful technology, but they need to keep working in order to find applications and showcase those applications among companies that might need it, right? So I think this again will help in all this precious cycle in order to keep that technology that is developed in Barcelona, that starts in Barcelona with the startups in Barcelona, to stay in Barcelona when they grow and not to go somewhere else. If we can close that circle, this will, this will create that phenomenal ecosystem that Lluís is talking about. And the final ingredient, the water that Lluís is talking, the money, I think the money is available. There is never has been more money available for investment. I mean, the valuation for startup companies is as high as has never been. There is tons of money. The question is where that money is going. I mean, who is going to make the best proposition for this private equity or for these investors in order to put the money? And I think, again, Barcelona have to get a better portion of that.
Yeah. And I also personally see a key trend to close that cycle that you said and make these companies stay, which is the capacity to go now into public offerings that are being much more successful in Europe than before, because before the only option was to be acquired. And right now I see a lot of European moonshots that just want to keep being independent and keep contributing and reverting back all that technology to the European population, in this case, maybe to the Barcelona population, right? So totally agree.
Indeed, but this is where regulation plays a role again, right? So I think we have to make it easier to have IPOs in Barcelona, and I think this is a complex topic that is related to the infrastructure that we have, and then we need to keep working, right? But again, I think we have all the ingredients and the opportunity. We have to keep working on signaling to the ones that can change that regulatory environment, that the opportunity is there. If we work in the right direction, then this will happen, and the things will happen in Barcelona.
Absolutely. So keep on talking about financial assets. We heard a lot about the next gen funds, and we all see them as a great opportunity, hopefully, to actually keep on feeding our dear ecosystem. I want to come back to Lluís. We know that you are leading a very impactful project that it's called Quantum Valley. And if you don't mind, it would be great if you could share also with Nacho, but with all our audience, what is this project about and how, maybe Olympus could be interested.
Thank you, Carolina. Are you ready for Quantum?
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, then let's go for it. So let me first agree with what Nacho said, because I totally agree with what he said in the previous round. So, and I think that it's happening already. So it's happening. We don't see it because it's not visible, but it's happening. So we do have already companies that have the potential to become really, really big, and perhaps they will stay in here. So I think that we just need time, because we have the ingredients. Barcelona is fantastic. Hey, there are many places in the world that are fantastic. And so, it's not that we are unique. Santa Barbara, San Diego are also nice. Nice is also nice. And there are lots of fantastic places, but Barcelona too. And it's happening. Emilia, we know that this is happening. And so give us, 10 years more and we'll see these things big in Barcelona. Quantum will be big because it's a new paradigm. So basically everything that we see now around us, computers, internet, mobile phones, all this stuff is based on what in the 60s was called the first quantum revolution. This is based on laws of quantum physics, right? So I might need some time to go into those details, but the first quantum revolution made internet, the chips, the computers, the mobile, everything, right? But this is the easy part of quantum. This is why it was called the first quantum revolution. Now we are, since 2 or 3 years ago, or 4, we are inside the second quantum revolution. This is using the laws of quantum physics, the deep laws of quantum physics, those things that Einstein didn't believe. Nacho, remember these things that, you have a cat which is alive and dead at the same time. So these things that don't happen with cats, but they do happen with photons and atoms and stuff. And you can use those laws of physics to do completely new and revolutionary things in computing, in cybersecurity, in sensing. And so the world knows this. And so almost every country, including ours, even though ours has been a bit modest on this so far, almost every country has invested a lot in quantum. China has invested in the last few years more than $10 billion. The US also a few billion euros. UK a few billion euros. France, Germany, almost everybody. We are a bit modest still, but we still have time to invest on this. But the thing is, quantum is a whole new paradigm to create technology. It's making devices for medicine, for computing, for internet, for cybersecurity, based on totally new laws of physics, because those are laws of quantum physics. In Catalonia, we have important assets. We have a number of centers that have knowledge on this topic. We have investors willing to invest in startups. We have created already a few startup companies, LuxQuanta, QSight, Kilimanjaro, and others that aim at exploiting quantum technologies. And look, the Microsoft of quantum technologies, or the Intel or the Google of quantum doesn't exist yet. It will at one point, right? And so will it be based partially in Barcelona? Nacho, I don't know. We have to give it a try. And so we'll work very hard, because this will happen. Might take, again, 20 years, because it takes a while. It will happen. The world knows that it will happen. And we aim at having a bit of it here in Barcelona.
I also agree with you. Actually, we share the CNM clean room with Kilimanjaro. And as we are reading all these brainwaves from our own system, we are going to need a lot of computational power. And I'm sure that quantum computing is going to be the way. So I'm very excited that this is happening here and now. And by the way, some of the investors in INBRAIN actually invested in quantum computing. And they are very, very impressed about the Spanish ecosystem, because we bring them often. And we show them the wonders of Barcelona. So I'm sure that there will be a lot more coming on this dimension. Lluís, I keep going with you. ICFO, it's going to celebrate its 20th anniversary. And you said that you've been 20 years already working on this ecosystem. So you were there with ICFO from the very beginning. And I hope that you agree that all this has been made possible also with the support of the Generalitat, and of course the Universidad Politécnica de Catalunya, UPC, but also some non-profit organizations like Selex Foundation, Mir Puig. How can you see the reinforcing of these alliances also with non-profits? How do you see this point?
Thank you, Carolina.
Of course.
That's a wonderful question. Yeah, I mean, for us, philanthropy has been totally crucial, right? So we had support from the Selex Foundation, from the Mir Foundation, also from Caixa, from Catalunya La Pedrera, from AXA Foundation, from the Moore Foundation in the US, from the Templeton Foundation, from Ribas Araquistain. And so we do have lots of people who donate money to us, which is quite remarkable, because, we do physics. Right? And so it's not that we cure cancer or something. We team up with people that aim at doing it, but we do mostly physics. And so, yeah, for us, this has been totally crucial. This, as you know, all of you know, this is more common in the US and in the UK, less common in here. But let me perhaps stress one point. We have to distinguish between philanthropy and investors. And those are two different types of people, because philanthropy means you donate your money, no questions asked. Right? And you ought to have some money to donate significant amounts of funding, right? Because science is not cheap. if you want to make impact, and in science you can only make impact if you really invest a significant amount, you need to have, let's say, big pockets, okay? And not everybody, not every country has entities with enough funding to, donate a big amount of money. In here we have them, eh? So Selex, Mirpuig, Caixa, Carolina Pedrera, and others do have these big pockets, and they do give lots of money. And for us, it has been crucial. But that has to be distinguished from investors, right? Because and we need both. We need both. So philanthropy is crucial. This is giving your money away. Investors are needed because we want people that want to make money from science, and that's also needed in here, and we have it. And so we didn't have that sort of people 20 years ago. Now we have them. As Nacho said, the more, the better. But again, I'm optimistic because we have this type of people. Also in Barcelona Global, right? And Mateo, we have people in here who know how to invest in startups. Joe, Sanfeliu, and others who know the business very, very well. So again, we have a small ecosystem, but we have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to ask you both a question. So in Barcelona Global, we actually drive two surveys. One is the International Talent Monitor, and this is done every other day to understand how Barcelona could be even more attractive for international talent. And in the last survey, and because of the pandemic, one of the results that was very interesting is that they recommended that we should focus on technology, research, and medicine, right? So this is what we got from the International Talent Monitor. And then there's another one, the Perception Survey, where actually we ask people from Barcelona and people from Barcelona around the world if they actually believe this should be this way, right? And that Barcelona would be associated mainly to tech and research. So that is from the Barcelona perspective. But if you look broader, which cities do you see that are actually a model for these sectors, for this ecosystem? Is there a model, a city, a nation that you see that could be the way for our inspiration?
I'm going to take the first shot on this, Carola. I think first the question is more what kind of model wants Barcelona to follow, because there's not an easy answer for that, right? So I think probably the poster child of this was San Francisco in the 80s, 90s, where all the techs were developing there, and after that we've seen cities like Bangalore for IT or others. In life science, in healthcare, you have places in Boston, Minneapolis, but they are developing their place in the world. I think the question is, I don't think one place can do everything. I think that Barcelona needs to focus a little bit more on what are the areas where we really can create that ecosystem. Because as Lluís is saying, in order to create the ecosystem, we need money. We need to attract money, and we need to attract talent, investors, companies, all that. And this is much easier to do when you narrow your options and narrow to a certain extent, right? So when you narrow, you cannot pretend to be the leader of everything and everywhere, right? So I think we need to decide what do we want to do, and then try to nurture those initiatives. I also agree with you is that philanthropy is a phenomenal booster of certain initiatives, but at some point you need big pockets, you need big money, and that money is coming from large companies that wants to invest massively on that. And again, they look for the specialization. They look for where they can obtain this differentiation that they cannot obtain. Unless you specialize yourself, it's very difficult to find that. So I think more than to follow any other model, and we can pick up examples of many other cities that has been successful in specific areas. But I think is that what is to define what kind of model we want for Barcelona and where we have more chances to succeed. I personally believe that based on my knowledge of what's happening in Barcelona, life science, and even within life science medical technology, I see a lot of potential. I know a lot of small companies that are developing really interesting technology that at some point is going to grow. And I think that this is one area where Barcelona can make a difference. But I don't think we cannot copy, or we should not be copying any other model. We should create our own model, and we should sell it, and we should explain it to the world why that model is going to be successful. And it's not going to be San Francisco, it's not going to be Bangalore, it's not going to be Shanghai, right? So it's going to be Barcelona with a specific characteristic and personality, and that's what is for me the direction to follow.
Absolutely. And Lluís?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Nacho. Word by word, I'm full synchrony with you on this. And so, perhaps I can just add one idea, which is perhaps closer to my daily job. And so, because we cannot aim at being San Francisco or Boston or Paris or London or whatever, because we are different. We have our own assets. But one thing that I think is consolidated. If you look at the history of Silicon Valley, for example, it's a complex history, and the army invested a lot, and so everything is complex. But one thing that you conclude is that eventually you want to have lots of clever people and motivated people, because then these guys invent something and create something and change the conditions. And what has been proven is that, which is pretty obvious, I would say, is that clever people want to join leaders. And so if you are 20 something, you want to work with the best people in the world in your topic, because then you learn, you get inspired. And so basically something that we did very well, and actually in here we have the director of the program is ICFO, is attract very special leaders. People who are super creative, people who aim at being among the best in their field in the world, which is not a piece of cake, because there are lots of clever people out there. Because then when you have those leaders, it's like having Messi in the team, right? Then you want to play with him, because you learn things, you get inspired, and so coming back to what Nacho said, living in Barcelona is it's not bad, eh? And so there are traffic jams, and if you bike is better than driving, but it's not bad place to be, eh? So my experience is lots of scientific leaders, if you offer them decent conditions, prefer Barcelona than many other cities. Perhaps not Boston or San Francisco, but we can really compete with many cities in the world, because we have things on offer that others cannot put on the plate. And so if you have the leaders, then the young people follow, because they want to be with them. And so that's an asset that we have to exploit.
Absolutely. I tell you something, we have someone in the company that we just brought from Paris, and he was offered a job with Elon Musk, because Elon Musk just created a neurotech company, a startup called Neuralink. And he said no, he preferred Jose Garrido. So I'm very proud of what you are saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, this is my last question, because we want to take questions from the audience. They are enjoying here, but they would like to meet you a little bit more in depth. The last question is something that is very close to my heart, because we are all looking for the next thing to bring to patients to help people that are suffering from medical conditions, right? And for instance, ICFO, it's a pioneer center in research of a special material that I also share the love for, which is graphene. So if you could tell us a little bit, Lluís, about what are you doing with graphene? And then Nacho, I don't know if you have heard about graphene or what is your perception about graphene, but how is this perceived in your company, in Olympus, or what do you know about the material, and how can we take it to the next level if you believe on it? maybe Lluís, you could explain a little bit what you are doing with graphene, and then maybe Nacho could follow up on the question.
Thank you, Carolina. Yeah, we work with graphene, which is a very special material, but the Garrido and company at ICN2 also do it. And so we have a number of people in Barcelona working in graphene. Graphene is another new paradigm. So it's just one example of materials that are ultra thin. And so when graphene was invented, perhaps first time 15 years ago, it was the only material that was ultra thin, right? One atom thick. But now there are more than 1,000 materials that are like graphene, right? And so they are ultra thin. They have properties that standard materials don't have. INBRAIN, a fantastic company. If you have money to invest in the audience, please call Carolina. These guys will make something important, because they want to use graphene to put it in your brain and use it as an electrode, right? So like a piece of metal, but it's a metal, but it's flexible, right? And it's biocompatible, right, Carolina? So it's really a fantastic material. And so perhaps you could describe more the importance of the technology than myself. But before I end, now that you have given me the chance, I would like to perhaps add something briefly, because graphene is just the graphene paradigm is just one example of something that. Okay, let me be a bit pompous. Humanity will have to do in the next decades, right? Because we have to fix climate change. There is no way that this planet will be a decent place to live in many parts, including Barcelona, perhaps, unless we fix climate change within this century. For that, of course, we need to do lots of things. But one thing that we have to do is change the materials that we use. Not just the materials, but how we make those, right? And so we need to change the whole thing. And so I guess you have read Bill Gates' book on this topic. It's a very good book. We need to change basically most of the materials that we use for almost everything, right? And so graphene is just one example, but there are many more. And again, this is a challenge, but again, is an opportunity, because, hey, is what I said, we need to invent lots of new materials and exploit them. Right? So that's fantastic news, isn't it? So, Nacho.
Yeah.
Yours.
Well, not easy to follow, Lluís, after your closing, but no, we don't have any development with graphene. We've been looking at graphene and the opportunities that it offers, but most of the applications that we're seeing right now are on oncology, neuromodulation, and on others. So still they are not in the specialty that we are touching. We are observing the technology. But what I would say is that at the end of the day, and at the core of what we are talking, is how can we make sure that all these technologies which are developed in places like the ICFO and others can really reach the point where they can be applied in real life to manage the unmet need, right? So I think to really fix a problem that exists. And I think this is the connection in between the research fabric of a place, in this case Barcelona, and the fabric of the corporate world, where when that connection is needed, when that transfer of technology happen, is when great things happen. And the more it can happen in a place, the more the cycle is complete, and we can grow the ecosystem in a better way, which at the end of the day, I think is what we all aim to do. So thank you, everyone, for the time and the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I completely agree with you. We have many possibilities, but we also have to mature them one step at a time and prove that there is a real impact, because we also owe it to our investors and to the ecosystem that is betting for it. So from our side, we want to make graphene a reality, but I'm sure that there will be many other examples following that other people or even ourselves could mature as well to drive that meaningful impact. So, well, I think it's time to give the word to our wonderful audience, but thank you so much for this excellent discussion that we had today, and let's go to our audience. Let me see, because I think I do have the questions. Okay. Yes, I do have. So we have Luca Bensa, which I was with in the Mobile World Congress, and he's saying, Luis, when you talk about the ecosystem, you did not mention talent. Clearly, ICFO has the technical talent in abundance, but what about the entrepreneurial talent necessary to build these startups?
We have it. Thank you, Luca. We have it. It's a bit weird because I need to talk to that camera, but you are here, Carolina. Sorry. So,
no problem.
Thank you, Luca. We do have. I mean, ICFO is small, right? But we do have talent in Catalonia. Really. I mean, at ICFO, at ICN2, at many places, and so we need time, Luca. We need time. We are making it, and so you know this very well. We brought many people from abroad. We have programs that are basically focused only on people from abroad, but also from nationals. We have programs that aim at promoting ideas, not just at ICFO, but at other places, at IES, ESADE. Really, so I didn't mention talent because I didn't want to spend the whole hour talking myself, because we had Carolina and Nacho here, and if I need to describe the ecosystem, I need a lot of time. But sorry to insist. This is happening, and it will happen. We have the talent, and the opportunities are here. They were not here when I was young, huh? They were not here. Now they are here, and so we will exploit them.
I have actually a question from my own experience. When the transfer is done from an institution, and we are very fortunate to have been collaborating and keep collaborating with ICN2, but also with the SIC and every research center that is connected to graphene in this sense. So once the technology transfer is done, you have to industrialize. And for industrialization, you need ISOs, you need to fulfill and engage on the ecosystem with those partners that actually are ready. And I found that there are not that many partners there that are at that level, right? I think it will come, and for instance, CNM has put all the effort to go to the ISO 9001, and we are helping for that. And I found incredible support to actually make these steps. But with those compliance items, startups like us cannot progress, right? So how do you think we could keep on boosting the knowledge about what the industry needs to have to comply with its regulations, for instance, in this case, in healthcare, and support those more boring regulatory paths, but that are necessary for those alliances and the monetization, let's say, of all these technologies? How do you see this point?
Is that for me?
Whoever wants to answer. Yeah, Luis, you're a very good example. How do you see that?
Yeah, there are lots of things that can be fixed with money, actually. Yeah? I mean, right, and so not everything, huh? But there are lots of things that can be fixed with money and time. So when you look at ecosystems based elsewhere, many of those are started in the 50s, after the Second World War, right? So this is 70 years ago, right? So and they had time and money, lots of money, and so time clicks 1 second at a time. So you cannot make your clock to tick faster unless you are close to a black hole, but that is a bit far away. But you can speed up if you have more money. And so this connects to what Nacho said, actually. And so now I guess he will complement me. We can go faster if we have more money, because we know already how to use it. Okay, Nacho.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, in the absence of a nearby black hole that make us go faster, I think that I think you're totally right. It's money and time, and time goes aligned with the know-how and expertise, right? So, and I think that's what the biggest challenge that the startup companies, or not that the startup, the companies which are growing have, is that they probably know a lot about what they are doing, but they have to face a wall which is full of barriers, regulatory barriers, industrial barriers, and many other things. And it's incredibly hard. You can have the money, but even if you have the money, it's going to take a lot of time to develop the skills. So you need to find partners, and those partners can be strategic partners that can help you and can eventually be a potential acquirer of the company if that's the plan, or simply strategic partners or partners that can help develop all those skills that you don't have. But all goes back to the ecosystem, right? So we need to attract those companies as well that can add this. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, right? So to run a company, there is a lot of fancy stuff, high-tech technology, things that we love to do, but there is a lot of regulatory, bureaucratic. I mean, there's other stuff that needs to happen. And if we can find someone that is an expert on that to help those companies and for them to have permanent establishment in Barcelona and help those companies, it will complement the ecosystem. As Lluís say, we can talk a lot about the ecosystem and the different elements that we need to have there, but no one can do everything by themselves. It will take too long, right? So partnership is really key word in all this.
Good point. Very good point, Nacho. Yeah.
I always say that collaboration is the new innovation. So absolutely. Good. So we are on time actually, and I'm going to transfer back to Anna. So Anna, you can close this wonderful session. I already thank you in advance for this invitation, for the wonderful speakers that we had today, and for making Barcelona being at the spotlight and elevate the presence and the relevance in our ecosystem. But hopefully, with the amplification of people like Nacho and Lluís that are abroad and talking about all the ecosystem and all the innovation thriving within, we will keep on feeding the wonders of Catalonia and close the loop, as you said, Nacho, by bringing the talent, keeping the companies here, having great IPOs and unicorns, and of course, a great population that benefits from all the innovation that you are bringing and that hopefully will be bringing in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lluís. Thank you, Nacho. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. Lluís, we have the chance to have him more often. So, Nacho, it's been a pleasure. Let me ask if there's someone in the audience here in the room that has any question to add. Yes. Okay. So before leaving, sorry, Carola.
Great.
Thank you. Let me ask.
No.
Introduce yourself with your name and your institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you all. My name is Carlos Malet from IQS. Well, first of all, I like the optimism of Lluís about the ongoing creation of the ecosystem. That's very good. But I also like the remark of Nacho that we need focus at Barcelona. We cannot be good at everything, right? And coming back to the first minutes, you mentioned that we have some of the best hospitals in the world, in Barcelona. And later on, you mentioned that health sciences could be or should be one of the poles for investing, creating doing more research, and so on and so on. Just want to tell you that the experience of our university, we started teaching chemistry more than 100 years ago. Today, only 12% of our students want to study chemistry. The sexy thing now for our students is health sciences and biotechnology. So we are creating that talent, and that talent will have expectations. And we are doing more research that we can still afford in health sciences at the university. We can do the basic research. And now we have spin-offs. We are still suffering with the spin-offs because at some point we need tons of money. And there is nothing more sad than seeing one of those spin-offs in health sciences dying because, well, we didn't reach out the point of making some profit. So I think that we are there. We are creating the talent in Barcelona at many of our centers. That talent will look for opportunities, and we definitely need the funding. Otherwise, we are going to have frustration and missing opportunities. I don't know. What's your opinion about that?
There's nothing sad, nothing more sad than to see a good idea fall because there is not enough funding for that. And I think the answer. I mean, first of all, I understand that your students are moving more on the how chemistry can help in bioscience and others. I mean, it's a super hot sector at this point. As I said before, right? So I've never seen more money available to invest. It's really amazing. In all sectors, I think that there is tons of money. The question is that we need to know how to find it, right? And I think, and this is probably something that I know and I follow. I talk regularly with Joe Sanfilio, and I know about the investment he's doing in the US. He's one great example, but we need 25 more examples like that, right? So I think that we need more money. We need more private equity money in Barcelona, more venture capital money in Barcelona, and this is still something that we have to keep working on. That money is there with the right idea, put it in the right photo. There is money available. I have no doubt. But we need to attract those investors to Barcelona. We need to make sure that they understand. And if they don't come, then we need to send our companies to the United States or wherever in order to promote what they have. I think this is, I mean, to some extent, I think we need to internationalize our entrepreneurship in Barcelona, because at the end of the day, I mean, the world cannot be more global, and they have to find that opportunity wherever it exists, and finally bring all that capital to Barcelona and make things happen here.
One more question.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I've enjoyed this talk enormously. I'm Emilia Pola. I'm Executive Director of ICFO. It's more I hope it'll be a quick question to answer, but Nacho mentioned that at some point we are at that stage where potential unicorns simply grow away from it. To grow, they're just taken away. They just get, have to go elsewhere. They go, someone else buys them and they're gone. My question is, or perhaps my hope, is that, in your opinion, is this something that is a stage we need to go through because we're not powerful enough to retain them? Or does it detract from the view that the ecosystem is growing in that direction? So is it a hurdle, or is it just an inevitable step in the way of becoming this global city that we want to be?
I think you can look at it in both ways, and I always see the glass half full. So I think that there's an opportunity, right? So I think that what we need is to work to make sure that investment stays, even if the company is acquired. I mean, sometimes, I mean, the problem is not to be acquired. The problem is when it's acquired, there is the technology goes out of Barcelona, or the development or the industrialization of whatever the product, right? So I think we need to, again, in my view, I think we need to go to that last step, which is making sure that those companies, those talent, those IP, those products are made in Barcelona, right? And I think this is really the key. It's not a hurdle or not. I think it's definitely a hurdle to build the ecosystem, but there's also an opportunity to build the ecosystem, right? So, and we are, as you say, I think that in the last 10, 15 years, we have advanced a lot in that direction. We need to keep working, right? And when the IPO happens and when the startup is acquired, we need to have something to offer to these new owners of the company for them to stay in Barcelona, for them to not move from Barcelona. I think that's really the key, and this virtuous cycle that Carolina and I were talking, then this is when it will happen.
Thank you.
Can I add something? Really brief, huh? Because I'm on the same page fully, yeah. But so about talent, so, and focus. Also, of course, I agree, right? That we need to focus. But so my father used to say, and I think it's super valid. So he used to say, people never do what you tell them to do unless they really want to do it. Right? So you cannot tell people what to do. You can tell them what to do for a while, but eventually they do what they want to do. And so we need to focus, but I think this has to be bottom up. So if people like health, biotech, let's give them food and water and money and stuff, and they will flourish. If they like physics, let's give them food and water too, because you cannot tell people what to do. I think we're on the same page, right? Yeah. Thank you.
We have to create the environment, Lluís. That's exactly the point.
Right. Right.
Okay, one more question.
Nacho, thank you. One question is, as Olympus, what would you like Barcelona to help Olympus? Would you need something to be produced that Barcelona could do? Would you need something to be innovated? Would you like something to be researched? Due to the knowledge you have about Barcelona and as a big fish in Olympus, let's say it this way, do you think that Barcelona could help on something as to Olympus worldwide?
Absolutely, and it's already helping, right? So I think that many of the product development that we are working right now are done thanks to the contribution of people from Barcelona in hospitals like the Clinic Vallebron and others. So this is already happening. And the other area where Barcelona can contribute, and we're taking a look, I mean, we keep a list of maybe 50 or 60 startups that we have a corporate venture capital that follows certain startups, and at some point with the intention to invest or help or become a strategic partner. And it's pretty amazing the number of companies we have from Barcelona right now. Never been that much, right? So I think there is good things happening in Barcelona. There are good companies creating technology, and I think we need to. I mean, all what we are talking here, I think, for me, is simply a working process. And I fully agree with you, is that this is just a matter of time. But it's a matter of time of working in the right direction. We need to keep working on all the aspects that has been mentioned today and many others in order to make sure that those companies end up flourishing and end up growing. But there is talent, and there are many things that Barcelona can do for Olympus, and from a product development and from a technology development, and from innovation development, which again, innovation is not only about technology, it can be about business model, or can be about many other things as well. All that is happening, so let's fem que passi.
So, thank you, Lluís, thank you, Nacho, and thank you, Carola, for your time, for sharing this afternoon with us in this duet. And thank you especially for working in this right direction. And we'll keep working. And to the audience, let's keep in touch and stay tuned for the next duets. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day.